You know, whether you're scrolling through your email, waiting to hear back from 1,000 jobs you applied to, or staying by your phone, hoping that that situationship will finally commit, most of us know the emotional cost of putting ourselves out there in today's relational climate. We're taught to contort ourselves to an unspoken expectation and then wait to be reviewed, considered, chosen, hopefully. But most of the time, that response never comes. Communication is at an all-time low, and apathy and avoidance are at an all-time high. You're left feeling disappointed, maybe even questioning yourself. This is what it feels like to need a specific response from a specific person on a specific timeline. Feeling tethered to outcome turns innocent curiosity and inspiration and even hope into a weapon that we use against ourselves. So in times that feel curated to make us feel demoralized and defeated, we have to adapt our ways of creating possibility so that we can improve our chances of survival and reduce our suffering. The single most important lesson that I've learned trying to navigate this emotional terrain is this. Oftentimes, the best thing you can do is to plant the seed and let it go. Let's talk about what that looks like. Planting a seed has 3 parts. The first is identifying fertile ground. This is so important because the fastest track to disappointment is pursuing opportunities that were never going to nourish you in the first place. Seeking recognition in rooms that never valued people like you. Pursuing relationships with people who aren't invested in your needs. Identifying fertile ground is about doing the opposite of that. It's about pausing, listening, observing, seeking out a sniff of a whiff that a person or an opportunity might be in alignment with your needs and values on the deepest level. You just need an inkling. And it's a dynamic process. You may collect more data, some that tells you that this is affirmative and that you should continue full speed ahead, or some that give you pause and makes you reevaluate. Stay flexible, stay open, stay discerning, as new information is always coming through. Step number 2 is to actually plant the seed. The actual seed planting phase is intended to be able to be done often and abundantly at no energetic expense to you. It could just be sending a message. It could be asking that friend crush that you've had for a while if they want to grab coffee. Just an Instagram story of something that you're working on. I like to prioritize tiny, seemingly inconsequential actions that have the potential to snowball. So if you are in the club, you making eyes at somebody that feels like they might be into you, you say hi, but you don't jump to what are we doing? We're just planting a seed, we're not repotting a plant. And that brings us to the final step in the seed planting process, which is simply to abide. Understand that seeds don't grow under pressure. They don't grow with us waiting over them. They don't grow when we're constantly refreshing the page or asking for reassurance, surveying the progress or lack thereof. They grow with space and time and nourishment. When we have trust and safety, we allow the space for seeds to grow on whatever timeline they have. Some of them may grow immediately. Others you will hear from months or even years into the future saying, hey, that seed you planted really inspired me, and I'm ready to take the next step with you. Nothing that is truly organic is rooted to a specific timeline. One can say, hey, I saw that comment you made on that Facebook group and it really inspired me, and I never told you that, but I really wanted to talk to you about it. And also, I have this job at my company and I thought of you immediately because it was really relevant to what you said. Most of us can destroy the sense of safety that is needed to allow things to grow with our own pressure and expectation. But on the other hand, people will naturally open when they feel safe. You can really surprise yourself the kinds of conversations you will have when you make clear that as much as you feel inspired by a potential opportunity, you are also not in a space of need or lack or expectation in terms of how that looks or whether it ultimately happens. That creates the space for them to say, I do want this, but I'm afraid, or I don't think that this is a match right now, but I did think of you for this other opportunity. But if you had been too pushy into surveying, they may not have felt so moved to share that. Trust and safety aren't outcomes in this process. They are the conditions. If you plant seeds often and abundantly, one day you'll wake up with an ecosystem of your own making. You won't be thinking about all the seeds that you planted along the way that didn't grow into anything. One thing that remains true is that the things that we truly lose are the things that we were holding on to in the first place. We're in times where we can feel so bogged down by disappointment that we don't want to bring ourselves up to try and pursue one more thing that has the opportunity to disappoint us. My invitation to you is just to start by planting a seed. Water it with intention, not expectation. Give it some space to surprise you. If you're feeling that weight on your shoulders, it will help to take some of it off. At first, this is going to be a conscious practice. It kind of flies in the face of a lot of the ways we've been taught to move and to pursue opportunities. And it's also not a replacement. This is to go with all the things you're doing that are honoring deadlines, expectations, etc. But over time, it becomes a beautiful complement to all of the things that you're doing that are adhering to the timelines. Thanks for being here. Sincerely, Saya.